Hi, welcome back to Save with Crypto. My name is Save with Crypto, and I've been looking forward to today for a long time. I'm going to speak with my friend Roman. I was calling him Roman. I expected someone maybe from like Romania or maybe like Greece or somewhere like that. And in fact, he's from Wales. So hello, Roman. How you doing?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. I should just call you Roman, like a Roman, shouldn't I? Really, not Roman. Anyway, so we've got some questions about Tap Global, XTP, that kind of thing, and then there's some more sort of general ones. I mean, my involvement with Tap is basically, I, like many people, became enthusiastic when that Martini guy was talking about it in late 2022, early 2023, I think. And I bought a load of XTP and I watched it go up to the price of a house. And then I watched it come down again. And
Yes, as we all did.
right, of course, I should have sold at the top, and that would have been really nice, and my situation would be very different now. But I didn't do that. I think me myself, I've kind of matured a bit regarding this kind of thing over those last 2 or 3 years. But anyway, that's my situation now. At the moment, I have the Tap Global app. I've got the virtual card. I'm the second to the top tier on is it Premier Premium?
Prestige is the top.
What's the one down from that? Is it Premium?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I am. I need another little blip in the price of XTP so I can grab that prestige tier, which I believe is what you have, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on the top tier, the prestige, but obviously I've been involved from the start, so it was easy for me to accumulate the amount needed, and yeah, it works well for me
Excellent,
when
excellent.
it works.
That's great to hear. Actually, so if you do that and if you lock your XTP for 12 months, what happens after 12 months if the price goes down?
Well, you've got to lock back in the same value.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'd get XTP back if it went down, wouldn't you? So and vice versa, if it went up, it cost you more.
Okay.
In the early days, all the early stage investors, we had locked accounts,
Right.
where it was like it didn't. You had a premium account where I think it was 500,000 XTP, but obviously the price when it first came out was 0.0003 of a penny or something like that, and all of us that bought in early had premium accounts, and because they transferred it from the treasury, it was locked in and it never changed. And then when they brought the new accounts in, I don't know if there's probably people out there who had premium accounts before, it actually just stayed on that level, and you didn't get any benefit, so you had to get in touch to force it to the normal level, which I think the base level is 0.5%. And then the 300 £300 level, I think, is 1.5%. So it was one of those things where you had to force it back to the essential, which was 0.5%. The tier you've got is premium, and it's 4% cash back. But
Yeah.
prestige is 8% cash back.
Actually, I think mine's 6, but we can
6, yeah. No, sorry, yeah. Sorry, yours is 6. That's platinum. Premier is 4. Platinum is 6.
Okay. Anyway, let's crack on with some questions for Roman. So it's split into 4 bits. What's your background? What got you into crypto? Are you a charting type person regarding TA? And lastly, what's your involvement with TAP?
Okay, let's go for the first one. Well, I'm a self-made tech entrepreneur, really. I've got multiple businesses within technology sector, from digital out of home to managed IT services, and I recently invested in a couple of blockchain projects where smart contracts, carbon future contracts, and working on one with a real world asset fund at the moment. So that's my background really with my business. I'm 50 years of age, been around the block a bit, so I know the time of day. My involvement in crypto started 2017. Bought some Bitcoin on Exodus and started just leaving there, playing with it, not trade. I'm not really a trader. I haven't got time to trade. If I do anything, I use Probit only because that's the place to buy XTP, and I've started playing around with doing bits of spot trading. I don't leverage trade. I wouldn't recommend leverage trading. I'm not a meme coin sort of person because I'm one of these people that don't believe the liquidity is there when you really want it. You look at all the meme coins that's happened. Obviously, Pepe and Doge, that developed, but the Trump coin and that little kiddie who created his own coin and pumped it, and I'm just skeptical of all those things, and that's why sometimes I get frustrated with TAP, where whilst the company regulation first, they're introducing these meme coins, and they are going to turn out to be shit coins, because when the regulations actually come in the Clarity Act, I think a lot of these coins will disappear. But it frustrates me, but I understand why they do it, because of the business, to generate turnover, to generate fees. So I get that side of it, but my portfolio consists of a lot of ISO coins, XLM, HBAR, Quant, XRP, Algo, and those sort of codes, XDC. So the ones that's going to have utility, and true utility will shine through in the end. My involvement with TAP goes back to the beginning. I'm not employed by them, never have been, never worked for them, never got paid. I got introduced to Arson and TAP through a broker, through one of my contacts, which in the blockchain sector. I've been here from virtually day one, where I invested heavily in XTP along with a lot of my friends and colleagues. At one stage, I was probably a bigger holder than TMG. I had a lot of XTP, but when it pumped, I didn't cash out, as in back to fiat. I exchanged it for some XRP. Caught a little bit of a cold with the was a bit naive with trading it in the app. Thought I'd just convert it from XTP to XRP. Caught a little bit of a cold. There's quite a lot of slippage there. Should have gone back to a stable or fiat and then gone back the other way. But yeah, I was a bit naive there and I think that's where a couple of people catch colds when they get frustrated, and I see it in the Telegram group about the slippage, and it's one of my big bugbears. Slippage, can be quite large on certain tokens, but I think with XTP as an example, if you reference the, perhaps we could probably bring it up later, is we could bring up the Probit platform, look at the bottom price, and it's not rocket science. You don't have to do anything on Probit, but you just use Probit as a reference, and then go into your app on Tap Global and just take the bottom price, a bottom amount, not the price. So say there's 10,000 available at X amount, you just take the 10,000 and you'll see it disappear off Probit within seconds. And then somebody else or a bot or something might put something back up at the same price or lower. So if you just typed in £1,000, for example, it would take out the £1,000 across, could be 4 different values, and then give you the average. And then you'll go, oh, it's frustrating. But I know with the new engine that they're developing, which is still being tested, I believe, the slippage is due to timing more than anything.
Right.
Whether it's Fiat, whether it's XRP, or it's a time in the engine just needs to react quicker. But I think that will come in time. I still got a significant amount of XTP which I'm holding. I'm still in the probably top 5 holders, excluding the treasury. So yeah, I still believe in XTP, and I still believe in Arson and the company massively. And I get frustrated as much as everybody else, really. But I know what they're doing. They are regulation first, and things seem to be slow. But I know, I have a gut feeling, and it's a regulated stock market listed company. Our time will come. The patience will be rewarded.
Okay, well, that's great that you say that. Yeah, in a similar way, I'm kind of involved with a company that was called ZoidPay. They're going to become another now, but they're based in Bucharest, and they've got a similar kind of thing where they've got such low liquidity, and it's only on KuCoin that you get the same kind of thing. I mean, at the moment, people are looking at it thinking, "Oh, that's a real bargain. Let's buy loads of it." But if you put in a limit order, nothing happens. If you put in a market order, you buy up the entire market book, the entire order book. So therefore pushing up the price. So yeah, in a way, that's a kind of education that people need, really. But I guess when the app is being used lots and there's lots more liquidity, that might not be such an issue, the slippage. But yeah, I have seen that anyway. So second question is, what is TAP and who would use it?
Well, as I said from the start, Arson had an idea, but Arson was, he's well documented. He was a Bitcoin trader as well as a gaming engineer, software engineer, and obviously people find it hard to on and off ramp. Like I started using Exodus, and trying to get money in and out of for Bitcoin trading was quite difficult in the early days, and obviously UK came down quite hard on people, and certainly the EU as well. So TAP was originally started out as a basic on and off ramp, using MasterCard. Don't forget, TAP was the first MasterCard crypto card in the UK and Europe. And they're always going to evolve. They're aiming to be the fintech bank of the future, where they'll offer a one-stop shop like certain other banks, fintech banks, or not so much crypto banks, because you can buy fiat currency, you can buy shares, you can buy oil, bonds, stocks on other platforms. And I think that's where I see the vision, I see the real value. Because if it becomes, just imagine the share price, or XTP will tag along with it if it becomes a Revolut. But what everybody's got to understand is it hasn't got the revenues or the resources that the other big organizations have, and they have to do everything by the book because they can't afford to pay any fines. Historic regulations, in the UK, they've concentrated in the EU recently. It aims to provide all financial services in one app, from fiat to shading to commodities, etc. And they're going into the business of custodian services now for Bitcoin, like acting as a treasury for businesses. So they're building, it's evolving from day one. It started off as a basic on and off ramp, but they're building and putting all the profits back into the platform. So I know people say, well, where's the marketing? Where's this? Where's that? It's run on quite a tight ship now. I think when they first started, Arsenal were probably the first to admit they didn't have the right team with the right people, with the right vision, with the right ethics.
Okay.
Whilst Arsenal's, the CEO, is his baby, and a lot of the ideas comes from him, technically, the technical side of it as well. And I think that there's a lot of money that goes into the platform, which people don't see, and what it costs to run, and simple developments and time that, that the dev team are involved in just making simple tweaks. The new engine is obviously being built, or is being built, continuously being developed. Obviously, that'll have to be beta tested. So there's a lot more to just seeing the app on the skin. Don't forget, they were the first ones, to partner with MasterCard in the UK for on and off ramping. And they're building the platform to be able to scale quickly. I don't think they did that in the first place, and it's caught them out. They've had a high turnover of staff, in previous years, but I think there's a good balance there now. Talented, passionate people with who are on the same page as everybody else. But they've got a new chairman, and I've done a little bit of research into the new chairman, and he's a keen crypto man, and I think he was already an XTP and a shareholder prior to his appointment, and he understands his space. And I think him and Arsene get on well, and he sees Arsene's vision and the company ethos, and I think you'll do well. You'll do well for the company. And people were like gutted when Peter Wall left, but I don't think that was a negative. It was a positive, because we had him for a short period of time where he took the company to the AIM, and people of that, and are obviously going to get headhunted, and he's gone to work for a government, and you couldn't knock him for that. And this new chap, he's got enough contacts, which hopefully will bring in institutional investment, to develop the platform further. But in answer to your question, I think generally, the platform will grow with users as the platform grows. So, you bring on share dealing services, you bring on more ISO cryptos, you bring on GBP loading, you bring on various other services, and you'll naturally, organically bring people to the platform.
Okay.
And I know that people just don't have the patience. People get frustrated, but I'd rather be in a solid, financially stable platform that I know it's got longevity. And in the Telegram group, I keep on about it. This platform has got longevity. And if they hadn't done the cost cutting and the staff removal probably 2 years ago, the monthly burn was huge.
Right.
And I don't think there was a lot of people, were as passionate as the current people, and buying into the vision of the company and TAP, and the way Arson things. But I think the platform, in answer to your question, I think the results are due out soon, and there's probably over 400,000 users of it now. Actual active users, I would have said they would be the majority in Europe,
Right.
because of the euro loading.
Yeah.
I know that they've got other offices, and the Europeans have been targeted, which is frustrating from a British person's user point of view. But I know that will change, because the GB loading would be massive for turnover for the business, for fees. You'd be silly not to be actually using the card. So yeah, I think the future for future use, I think it will naturally develop, and the marketing will be organic. I don't think they're going to go down the paid route. I wouldn't have thought, because they're running a tight ship. So yeah,
Okay.
I think it'll organically grow.
Okay. I mean, I have got another question which is similar to this one, so we can come back to that a bit later, because I do have some more specific questions about that. Now, at the moment, XTP is, well, I was around when we were using Bittrex back in 2023, which was a bit of a peculiar exchange, but nevertheless, it was dealable with, and I used to like it because you had the XTP BTC pair, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And even now, I kind of know that my average buy price was around about 12 satoshis. I haven't a clue what that is in dollars at the moment, but in fact, I don't really want to know, to be honest. So at the moment, it's only on Probit, which is an exchange that I've kind of tried to use. I don't like it. But anyway, so my question here is, will XTP ever be listed on an exchange that at least TradingView recognize? Because my problem is I like TA, I like charting. I've co-created an indicator that I love using, but I can't use it with XTP because there is no chart on TradingView.
I don't think you can chart XTP, to be honest with you. But saying that, you know, if you look at it on Probit, you can look at it over the 4-hour chart, and it, in the 24-hour period, it's pretty stable, and it has its moments. I mean, so, but as I say, I'm not sort of a charting person, but you know, I've got experience with other platforms, and just on your other point, it's on Uniswap. So you know, I've had experience with other platforms and projects where a couple of things really. One, the cost the exchange would charge. Two, the liquidity demands, unless you employ a market maker, and they've got demands. You know, for example, a tier 1 exchange is high 6 figures. Tier 2 exchange, 200-300 grand. Tier 3 exchange, 60 to 100 grand. And then I don't know if people, you know, might be a bit of education how it works. Well, Tap will either have to provide a market maker, or they'd have to provide the liquidity, and that could be a combination of tokens or cash. You know what I mean? It's basically a float. So, you know, what tends to happen, and you know, Tap did have a market maker previously. They wash traded on their own exchange, so they'll pump the price, dump the price, and they'll be selling it via a third party, and you know, they'd be taking the liquidity out of the market, then coming back once they run out of tokens. They'll be coming back asking for more tokens, and that's what actually happened with Tap. And then you know, Tap hasn't got a market maker now. It's all organic, and it's a true reflection of the market. Because a market maker and an exchange, they're there to make money themselves. So, you know, that's the hard point with an exchange listing. You know, that's exactly what happened before. You know, there's nothing stopping them going on. You can create your own pairs on a DEX, you know, and like you said, you know, you could create a XTP BTC pair, or an XTP ETH pair, or you know, whatever you want to do on a DEX. And the same thing though, somebody has to provide the liquidity. So that may be an option, but I know they are. I know they previously said they're looking as a backup option, you know, with Probit. But Probit's actually the trading volume over the last 10 days has been quite good. You know, I think it's about 4,000 or 5,000 the last 24 hours, but it has been up as high as 40,000 in a 24-hour period. So there's people out there buying it, and you know, it's the same thing again. It's about resources with Tap, and financial resources. You know, they'd have to develop a little plug-in again for another exchange, do the testing. if they did the same thing with the DEX, it's time. And I think the biggest thing to take out of anything is that they're not a massive team.
Right.
They're a good, passionate, compact team. And that's probably, the time is the element of the major issue. Time is of the essence of certain things. And I think that's probably the hardest issue to overcome is the right people and the time factor.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on. So what is the actual function of XTP?
Well, as you know, it has utility. It's a lockup tier model where you lock up a certain amount of XTP, and you can gain up to 8% cash back with the reward scheme, and you get cash back on all purchases paid out in XTP. And it gives you having the lockup, whatever level it is, above the base level, you get cheaper fees for fiat and the crypto.
Okay.
Probably the highest cash back is about 20. Well, I don't know what it is currently, but there's a value of 20k on it worth of XTP. You can pay your fees. You can pay your trading fees in XTP to get a discount. Company does, and not a lot of people probably know this, but the company does the buyback and burn when they submit profits. We haven't had one for a while, so they buy that off the market, not out of the treasury or the escrow. I've spoken to Arson as well about trying to get some utility for XTP on other platforms, not other platforms, but other use cases. It could be, an energy renewable site. It could be cost comparison sites where you could use a token to give a discount, and you hedge the token. You hedge the XTP token. Any profit could be shared or given as a discount. But
Okay.
they'll only be able to work if the coin was the coin was stable. There was talk about linking up with retailers some time back, offering XTP rewards, but that's probably on the back burner for a while until there's a bit of stability.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next question. I was trying to find a current roadmap for TAP, and do you know if there is one at all?
No, the only roadmap that is was produced, I think 2024, was it, something like that, there was an investor roadshow, I think, somewhere.
Okay.
But I know they're slightly behind on that, and that's again down to resource and funding, and the change of the change of personnel as well, really. The concentration sometimes goes from a project to another project, and the change of banking partners caused them some issues I touched on earlier. The regulation and compliance side of things, has forced them into some back end changes. So the devs have got to obviously do a lot of work on that, and I got a first hand experience with that because. As I said, I use my card in Spain once a month to pay some bills, and I get as frustrated as anybody really. And I don't mind the compliance and the anti-money laundering checks. I get all that, but once you've done that once or twice, submit all your details. You have to do with it with the new banking partner. Then, I just normally do £100, and then I do a couple of thousand, but whatever I need to do. But since the banking partners changed it, I've been so frustrated with the money not going in within a day sometimes, and I nearly lost my rag with it all, to be fair. Right. And I emailed the compliance team and obviously copied Arson in, and I basically, I was like, I don't need this hassle. I just want to get money into my account I want to pay my bills and I want to move on. And then it transpires because of the new banking partner. There's some, and it's documented in the RNS. You know, TAP got fined back in October, 150,000 by the Gibraltar Financial Services Scheme for some compliance issues, and I think goes back down to money again and resource. I don't think people understand that if you have a claim brought against you, you've got to be able to prove it and prove you were negligent with people's money and you've done all your checks. And if there is a claim brought, you're liable to 50% of the claim with the receiving merchant. So I think with this new banking partner, they've had to alter some of the back end to make it an automated process. And at the moment, I share people's frustrations because a lot of these, I think, are having to be done manually.
Right.
Well, I know they're having to be done manually. Not all of them, but I think there's like random checks and certain amounts that triggers it. So, you know, people just need to bear with it. You know, there's nobody more frustrated than me. I do it every month, and until had no issues until the new provider was changed. And then I found out, you know, through the right channels that obviously there's been an issue, and it's had to go to a bit of a manual process, which they are automating. So, yeah, I think the roadmap will play out, but because there's such a small team with small resources and budgets, certain things take priority. And I think that's what we have to be patient with, because it's about, again, longevity, and obviously sustainability, and that's key for me. I'd rather wait another 6 months, a year, rather than a company go bust or get sued or whatever, you know, because they haven't met their obligations or they failed to make their obligations. So we have to be a bit sensible with it all. And, you know, I think the time will come with XTP, and I honestly believe that, because it won't take a lot of volume to move it to a cent. It won't take a massive amount of volume, and people, you know, when GBP loading comes on, we will, you know, we'll be probably laughing and talking about something totally different when that happens. You know?
Which in actual fact is my sixth question: is when GBP card loading. I appreciate with this that from what everything you just said, that there probably is there's no definite date. And in fact, one of the frustrating things is that when Peter Wall was on the team, I did enjoy the discussions that Arson and him had, and then they got published on YouTube and all that. But I remember being quite excited. It was actually December 2023, I think it was. No, December 2024, I think it was. And Peter asked this question to Arson, and Arson said, I think we'll have GBP card loading, I'd estimate Q1 or Q2 of 2025. And obviously that never happened. So, you know, that was a little frustrating, you know, for me especially. But
and I get that, and it's frustrating for me as a XTP holder, as a share. You know, I'm quite a big shareholder in the company. You know, I've put my money where my mouth is, sort of scenario.
okay.
I've backed Arson, and I'll continue to back him, and that's not, you know. But people take criticism positively or negatively, and, you know, the answer to the question is, it should have been here before now, but other things have taken priority, obviously, and resource, you know, financial, you know, there's a lot going on, and this is what people do need to take on board, is there's a lot goes on without, you know, what they can see.
Right.
I honestly think GB loading, I would say by end of Q1.
Oh, really?
Because I think they realize that it'd be a game changer. It will be an absolute game changer. It'd be the biggest influx of revenue that they could get.
I honestly believe that, because I know I had one of my many altercations with Stellina, and it was because I said, like, I believe the majority of XTP holders are in the UK. Now, I said that because that's what Arson said 2 years ago in the discussion with Peter Wall. And what Selena said was, no, that's not true. The majority of our business is in Europe. And
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, that implies that most XTP holders are not in Europe, And
I think what you've got to take in context, or everybody's got to take in context, is that there may be 500,000 downloads, but how many active users are there? And I think the active users are all in Europe for using the card, and that's natural because it's easy. You use the euro. There's no slippage. It's simple. But go into GBP loading and salary payments in, which again, it was an RNS notice. Go into Morewind, the new partner, right? They will come within weeks of each other. They have to, because that is, from a business point of view, you have to be able to justify, obviously, the spend on the actual development, but the money that will bring in terms of cash flow, MasterCard fees, spending fees, whatever, it will just be, and the people will be getting XTP coming out of their ears, won't they? Imagine going down the pub and spending. I've actually done it. I've used it. I've used it just to use euros up. And you'll be getting XTP every time you spend, and then to think about it logically, a £20,000 XTP account for 8% cash back, and you get 8% back every time you spend on your card. How many times you spend on your card a day? So you won't lose the XTP. It doesn't cost you £20,000.
Yeah.
You physically got to hand over £20,000, but you don't lose it. It's not a privilege to have that platform. So it's an absolute no-brainer to use the card for everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I suppose. I mean, I use my card twice a year. When I go to France and when I go to Spain, and that's it, really. And
but if you look at it, right, the price of XTP will skyrocket. It'll only take about 500k to get it near like a penny. If you look on Probit.
Yeah, no, I can see.
I'm really bullish about that, and I believe we'll see it by the end of Q1. I really do, and I think there'll be, that's why, like in the Telegram group, I'm being honest, just load up when you can.
Yeah, yeah.
But do it the right way. Don't just bang in a massive amount. Just pick off little small amounts, because there are bots in there which will drop them back in at 0.07 cents. There's ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really think the GBP card loading, it would certainly make me use my card on a daily basis. Whereas at the moment I use my crypto.com card, which is okay, but whatever. Anyway, do you know what's happening with TAP in the US?
The honest answer to that is no. I don't see a lot happening with that at the moment.
Okay. I
probably can't see anything happening to probably mid towards the end of next year. It's out of their hands, really. Is the honest answer. The Clarity Act in America with Trump. Don't forget, TAP had a banking partner lined up prior to the Trump administration in America, and then the previous administration just said no banks can deal with crypto, and the bank remove their services. So, you know,
right. Okay.
I think you'll see other territories before the USA.
Yeah, I mean, I remember on the roadmap that the last one I saw, it was kind of saying that Latin America was going to be before the US. So I don't know if that's still a thing or not. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see. Now, someone asked about this this article that was on Yahoo Finance. It was called "Tap Global Launches Institutional Bitcoin Treasury Service for Public Companies," and they asked, "How is it going? Do you know?"
Hey, all I know is what I've seen in the RNS. They've got one company on board, and it's another revenue stream in it. You know, obviously there's a charge for the service. You know, Tap's insured. You know, people like that sort of, you know, the stock market listed, the regulation approach first is good. So, you know, I think that side of the business will grow, and you know, same thing. It's another fee generator. It's another part of the business. It doesn't affect XTP, but it'll affect the share price because it'll be more revenue, more turnover, and you know, it's another product offering.
Okay, cool. So at the moment, how do Tap make money?
Well, it's the same thing. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Really, you know, they make it through trading fees, you know, MasterCard fees every time you spend. You know, they got card as a service. When you're a white label card service, I don't know how many they've actually gone on board with that, but you know, they've got that Bitcoin custodial service as well. And you know, I'm always talking to Arson, you know, with ideas because I'm involved in the technology sector. You know, for example, I've spoken to him about being a custody wallet for online gaming companies, betting partners, and then with that you can do rewards with XTP, and you know, the way the world is going digital, you know, I think Tap is positioned to pick up small amounts of smaller individual companies as well. So
Right.
if they, I'm not saying they're going to team up with a high street bookmaker or anything like that, but I've suggested a couple of partners that we work with that, you know, on-course bookies might want to take bets with people paying by crypto, or there might be online gaming sites which they want to pay in crypto. You know, involved in another platform which is purely an online gaming platform which you can only pay by crypto.
Okay.
That's launching next year. So, you know, I think there's plenty of opportunities for Tap to make money once they got the platform solid, stable, ready to scale. You know, and that's the biggest thing, is being able to, you know, in the early days, the platform was only built for, I think it was 100,000 users. And, you know, the bottom line is they've scaled now. You know, they can scale at a larger number.
Right.
So, but that came with a bit of pain, slow development again, because they were you know, rebuilding the platform, and it's not easy, that type of tech. You know, it's okay, it's easy and quick if you throw a lot of money at it and a lot of resources, but I think the platform will have other revenue streams, you know, as and when, and you know, the engine hopefully will now be rolled out next year where they can bolt other services on. You mentioned about the share price there. I think the results are due, well, they've got to be out before the end of December. And they could be any between now and the 31st of December. I don't know exact date, but you know, Q1 of the new financial year, the results were RNS, or the projections were RNS, you know, last month. I think that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say the results are going to be good, and you know, the share price at the moment is is a bargain, really. You know, I could see that going to 4-5 pence, maybe. It's not financial advice, mine, but I could see that going to, you know, 4-5 pence by the end of the year once the results are out. And they've appointed a joint broker again today. That's in the news. So you know, it's gonna get out to a lot more people, hopefully. I'm quite bullish on that. You know, you could probably double your money, you know, in the space of a couple of weeks, really. You know, where everything is positive. Revenues are up. Trading fees will be up. Everything would be up. And that's not because there's no inside knowledge. That's purely based on what they've said in their Q1. It just their Q1 for this year.
Right.
It's a natural progression. It can't be any different. And I know how much I use it, and I know how much other people use it as well. And they've increased. You know, the revenues must be well up for the last financial year.
Okay.
And they reduced their burn rate as well. You mean, so it's got to be in a better position than it was last year, and it wasn't bad last year.
Okay, so the company vision is probably to become, you know, more like Revolut, is it? And then, but more crypto heavy. Is that the idea?
I think it'll be it changes, it evolves, but I think it's a fintech bank a fintech bank platform of the future where you can do all your financial needs, really. You know, with the involvement of all these ISO coins that's coming to the market and integrating with banks, it's a natural progression.
Right.
And I think they're well positioned. And just go back to the share prices. It's a very, very undervalued share at the moment with, you know, with where they could take it
Right.
with the
Okay.
right investment. You know, they're not going to do this just with organic. They're gonna need outside investment and, you know, institutional investment. Then, should I say? Otherwise, we'll just plod along, and just it'll be organic growth. You know, which is good, but you know, just to kickstart a few things, not to miss the boat, you will need some institutional investment at some point.
Excellent. Excellent. I must admit, I don't have any TAP shares, and I don't even know how to go about getting some. But
Well, you can buy them in your ISA if you had Hargreaves Lansdowne or something like that. You can buy them in an ISA, and it's tax efficient. And this is the last year you can. Well, it's not the last year, but they're lowering the ISA limits next year, aren't they? So yeah, you can buy them on an online platform and on a couple of different platforms.
yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize Hargreaves and Lansdowne have that. I tend to use Trading 212, and I know it's not available there. But yeah.
Yeah, no, they're on Hargreaves Lansdowne.
Okay. Nice. Brilliant. Okay, that's great. Awesome. We've probably answered this, but generally, a lot of people ask lots of questions, but the overall question: why is progress so slow? And I guess the answer to that is what you've said already, like small team.
Hey, it's frustrating, right, to myself, right, having been involved in the tech sector. You know, I've had a couple of, let's say, heated discussions with Arson, but when you take the hood off the bonnet, right, there's so many moving parts in terms of compliance, regulation, continuous development. That's even just a standstill. So, you know, TAP doesn't have the financial clout at the moment to just get a team in and, you know, develop a new product, new part of the platform. You know, it doesn't have the personnel either. Is the honest answer. You know, they're not in the same league yet as Revolut or Crypto.com. You know, the team's always trying to build value for us as XTP holders and shareholders. You know, whilst working, you know, within the regulatory framework, you know, is the key. You know.
Yeah.
I think I give you the example of, you know, my frustrations, and, you know, using it every month, and the compliance issues, and trying to get money in and money. Well, not some money out because I've never taken any money out, but getting money in, and the new banking partner now is there's different compliance issues that get brought up. So there's obviously devs have to do some work in the background. So I just think that we got to be patient. Go back to what I said about it's a solid company. They're on a solid footing. I'd rather take them slower rather than throw money at it and go bust or go to the wall or whatever. That's my that's my argument. At the end of the day, I know people want to see XTP moon and the share price moon, but if it was that easy, making good money doesn't come really easy. See, people think that in the crypto space, but I would rather see them do things correctly, properly, and they've got to beta test things when they do things. So it's not a matter of just writing a bit of code and putting it out there and let's see if it works. It's got to work. It's got to be tested. So that's probably the main reason is because resources, time, and just trying to keep compliant as well.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, I kind of wish there was more of the AMA type things, or at least the discussions like what we used to have with Peter and Arson. That would have been good.
I've been talking and asking Arson for the past 2 years to do that, and he will do it. But again, it's time. He's so engaged and involved in it, and he's so passionate about it. It's a time factor again, and he will address, and I don't think it'll be too long. But I think there's more. I'd rather him concentrate on making sure everything's running smoothly, and running the business rather than a lot of the stuff comes out via RNS. I've offered to do a live AMA, and we'll moderate it along with other people. But it's a time factor, and it's as simple as that. And there's no negative in that.
Okay. I mean, if for example, you want to suggest at any point that we do something like this, but we involve Arson, and we do the same kind of thing where we have a discussion for an hour, and then if I edit it, I will run it by him, and then we can.
I'm sure he would be up with that once he gets a bit of time.
Yeah, because I don't think there's many YouTubers actually doing XTP content at all, really, apart from me, really. But
and he knows that. He knows you're championing the cause, and hopefully everybody else listening to this now will get a little bit of a better understanding. But I also understand that they need to hear from the man at the top. All I've done is probably giving you an insight of my views on things and where things are, and little bits and pieces that I've picked up and over the years. And I just think we do need to just give them a bit of breathing space to let's just get things right. I'd rather him not address the community and get GBP loading quicker. That's my view on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I see that as a massive game changer for the business, and it's all.
Yeah, completely. Which brings me on to question 10, which I can almost answer myself. As it was, why would I use Tap in preference to my current favorite fiat crypto app card? Well, basically, my favorite one at the moment is Crypto.com because I get 4% cash back. Obviously, with Tap, if I use my second to the top card, I would be getting 6% cash back. However, I do use my crypto.com card because I can load it in GBP. So the GBP loading again would be massive for me. I would honestly use it every day. So that's why I would use it in preference to my current favorite crypto card. Have you got anything to add to that, Roman?
Well, it goes back to what I said on. I had an issue since the new banking partners came in. I threw my toys out of the cot a bit, and I said, I don't need this hassle. The only reason I use it, and I go through the hassle of putting money onto it at the moment and converting to euros, is because I use it in Spain. And
right.
for monthly bills, and I get the XTP back. I don't. If you think about it logically, and it's an honest answer, and it's a criticism that I've expressed, that I wouldn't use it because I'm in the UK. I wouldn't use it, and that's the honest answer. That's not good for me as a shareholder and as an XTP holder, and it's no good for anybody else. But when GB loading hits, I'll be using it for 90% of my electronic payments, and that's why my friends and family are scooping up the XTP cheap at the moment, because it will come. And think about it: if you don't buy it at these prices now, you're gonna be paying 3-4 times as much more for the tier you want to go into.
Well, that is, of course, the other point is that, say, for example, with crypto.com, I mean, I got my crypto.com card back in 2020. So
I've got one of them as well, and I've got what level have I got? I think I got a £30,000 one. But
so it's the rose gold or the icy white, is it?
Yeah, I don't use it. The only thing I use it for is Spain and airport lounge. That's it. I don't use it day to day.
Okay.
I do, because I'm one of these ones that it's like it's the same thing again. If I could put a direct payment into it rather than go through my bank and across, and
right.
It's like certain banks still don't like it. Salary payments into these accounts is another huge game changer.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's less hassle. Your money's in there. You haven't got to move it around. Or you're wondering, waiting for the ka-ching, your money's arrived, because you don't know what time, when, or how it's going to arrive. That's the difference. But
Right.
if you've got third-party payments in, it become and GBP loading. It's a no-brainer. Because what I didn't realize, you see, with there's banking codes for every type of account when you got a sort code and account number. So TAP's old banking partner just gave a crypto and a code which said crypto, and it didn't say crypto, but the code referred to, if it was 01, it was crypto. It could be, for example, Hargreaves Lansdown could be 02, financial services. But when these UK banks or mainstream banks were seeing crypto going into a 01 account, they'd be stopping it because the money's coming out of their own. But I think with this new banking partner now, it's got 01 and it might be 02. So it got two categories of code, I think, which basically softens the blow from your bank. It doesn't flag up then as much. And the same thing will happen when salary payments or third-party payments come in. It will have like a traditional banking code there.
Right. Yeah, because at the moment, I mean, I do other work besides the crypto stuff. I mean, not a lot, not as much as I used to, but I do have clients all around the world. And what used to happen was, if someone paid me in euros, I would then get them to pay it into my bank in Belgium, which was a bunk account, BUNQ, and it would go into my bunk account, and that was the only account that I could then top up things like TAP. I didn't use TAP so much, though. But but I was able to use it a few times, and that would work. At the moment, I haven't got that bunk account, so the only euro account I've got is my TransferWise or Wise
Wise,
account. They don't like crypto at all, so there's no way I can get the money from TransferWise to Tap without well, going via another bank. And I haven't got any. I've run out of Eurobank. So obviously the idea of someone paying me directly into my Euro account with Tap would be excellent. You know, that'd be great. And we can't do that at the moment, can we?
No.
Okay, that has to be in your name, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to be your name. But
So
I think that will come soon after GP loading comes on.
Yeah, so the ability to pay in either euros or GBP would both be brilliant as well. Even dollars, to be honest, because I do quite a lot of work in the States as well. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll have to see what happens there. All right.
I think the other thing with the GP loading and more this third party payments in, I think what are the, you know, just to give people a bit of background, is that you've got to, as a business, as a financial business, they've got to worry about the risk and the fraud element of it.
Right.
Because you only need one or two fraud claims, you know, and be proved wrong or negligent, and unless you've got big cash flows, you're not going to be able to ride it. So, you know, that's another risk to the business with the salary payments as well.
Well, that was amazing. There's some really good questions there from everybody that's been involved with, you know, leaving comments on what I posted on X and also on YouTube. Really good for Roman to give some really excellent answers. I think there's a lot of information there that we just didn't know, and I think it's really cool to have someone who's in constant communication with Arson and the team. And yeah, I would love to get more involved with this. I do feel like this is a bit of a weight lifted off me. I feel like what I thought might have been possibly a dying project isn't anymore. So so thank you very much, Roman, for doing that. And yeah, do you have anything else you'd like to conclude with?
Yeah, I just like to just say thank you for having me on, and you know, we'll probably do it again and see who else we can get on, and maybe the main man. But you know, it's not a dying project. We just have to be patient. I think the loyal people will be rewarded. You know, don't forget, TAP is a fully regulated, insured stock market listed company. You know, unless their compliance falls apart and they fall foul of the regulators, they are the future of the digital banking sector. The job is only just getting started. I think, I don't know where, you know, with 4 or 5 years down the line, but you know, a lot has happened in the world since then. But the one thing I would ask everybody, just look outside the box, and if you want this to work, to let the team provide you with some value. Don't publicly criticize the team or the platform and moan to it, you know, to an extent in the TG group, because investors will be looking at the socials, they will be looking at Twitter, they will be looking at the Telegram. You know, it's in our, you know, it's in our interests to attract users and investors, because otherwise we're only flooding our own bags. You know, as I said, you know, people will do their own due diligence and look at negativity in the socials and community sentiment. But if we provide positive, constructive criticism, just let the team build this value. And I think we're going to see a massive market change, not just for TAP, but for crypto in general in 2026. You know, and as the saying goes, all boats rise on the same tide. You know, Arson and the team will make TAP good again and a force to be reckoned with. And I think the future is bright. It's blue and white with TAP. So I bid you farewell, and we will do this again.
Thank you so much, Roman. Right, thanks for everyone for watching the video up to this point. It's brilliant. Please do like the video. Make sure you are subscribed and you've got the notifications turned on. above all, tell your friends. And if you do own XTP, then let's have a conversation. Let's keep it all positive, and let's keep going. So yeah, that's bye from me, and bye from Roman, and thank you very much. Bye.